Set alongside one of the greatest art museums on the planet, the Modern is one of New York City's most esteemed fine dining restaurants. The establishment has held 2 Michelin stars for a decade and serves a decadent tasting menu with a number of luxurious offerings. There was no doubt about it. I had to give the Modern a try, and the result was an epic meal indeed.
Today I'm here in New York City in Midtown Manhattan, and this evening I went to one of the most notable fine dining restaurants in the city, the Modern. The Modern is situated in the Museum of Modern Art and has 2 Michelin stars. For years, the restaurant has been considered a pillar of the New York City fine dining scene. Now, I've been to the Modern before, a couple of times actually, but that was the bar room. You see, the Modern is almost like 2 restaurants in one. The bar room is a bit more casual. They serve a menu of a la carte offerings, whereas the dining room, which is where I went to tonight, is a bit more elevated. Well, there's no doubt about it, the bar room serves exceptional food, but it's the dining room that really earns the restaurant its 2 Michelin stars. As a result, it's understandable that the dining room is a bit more expensive and is more of a place for a special occasion, and today is a special occasion indeed. You see, today is my birthday, and with every birthday, my favorite thing to do is always to get a fine meal. Now, being here in New York City, there's no shortage of spots that would make for a special meal, but I've always wanted to go to the dining room at the Modern. The price is somewhat reasonable compared to the other 2 Michelin-starred restaurants out there, and I had a gift card. So I thought today was the day to give the dining room at the Modern a try. So with that being said, this was my experience at the dining room at the Modern.
The Modern is located in Midtown Manhattan, right off of 5th Avenue alongside the iconic Museum of Modern Art. It was in 2005 that the Modern opened its doors and is the product of Danny Meyer's Union Square Hospitality Group. Chef Gabriel Koyther served as the restaurant's first chef and brought the Modern a number of accolades, including a Michelin star and a glowing 3-star review from the New York Times. After a number of years, Koyther announced his departure from the restaurant and later opened his own, which earned him 2 Michelin stars. However, even without Koyther, the Modern would eventually earn 2 stars as well, which it has maintained to this day. Currently, Chef Thomas Allen helms the Modern. He has previously spent time at the 3 Michelin-starred 11 Madison Park, as well as the 3 Michelin-starred Per Se. Even with over 20 years in business, the Modern is still going strong, and I was no doubt excited for my dinner when I arrived for my reservation at 5 p.m. on a Sunday night. First, I passed through the bar room, which is a sharp-looking space, but the dining room, which was where I was seated, is the true gem of the restaurant. My table was situated alongside massive floor-to-ceiling windows, providing me with a great view of MoMA's sculpture garden. I definitely liked the look and feel of the Modern's dining room. It was spacious and elegant, plus it was very comfortable. To put it plainly, it's a fine room fit for a special meal. After settling in, I began to look through the menu. The Modern has 2 tasting menus. There's a shorter one called Impressions, which goes for $175, and a larger one called Abstractions that will set one back $275. I went with the latter, as it includes the restaurant's legendary signature dish, eggs on eggs on eggs. I also had to decide on if I wanted to add the black truffle risotto supplement for $75, which sounded amazing, but I just stuck with the standard offerings. Next, I explored the beverage offerings. Each tasting menu has a couple of wine pairing options, but there's also, of course, a wide stock of bottles. For me and my wallet, however, wine by the glass was more in line with my budget that night. Although, there were some intriguing cocktails, including one inspired by a Frida Kahlo painting that's currently on view within the museum. Ultimately, however, I chose a glass of the 2024 Ken Forrester Chenin Blanc. The wine was pleasant. It had good acidity, a nice bite to it, and some decent fruit flavors. Soon enough, I was presented with the first bites of the night. The pair of amuse looked good, and I was instructed to try the one on the spoon first, which was basically a 1-bite raviolo consisting of tuna and celery. It was a great start indeed. The flavor wasn't too strong, but it was nevertheless pleasant. The following amuse, however, I thought was far superior. It was a snap pea hiramasa tartlet. The bite was far more impactful. Not only did it have strong flavors, but a pleasing textural variety, especially with the snap peas. So far, my dinner was off to a decent start, but it wasn't long until I was presented with the first official course of the tasting menu. It was a chilled lobster dish consisting of shiso and radish. There was a minimal design to the presentation, but it nevertheless looked good. The lobster was a delight. It was clearly fresh and of a good quality. Plus, the accompanying elements paired well with the crustacean. They provided a bit of sweetness and acidity, while the sauce lent some decent tang. Overall, that was a good first course with straightforward flavors, but it was the next dish that truly blew me away. It was the course that I was most looking forward to, and perhaps the most famous dish of the Modern. It's called eggs on eggs on eggs, and just the sight of it made my mouth water. The dish basically consists of eggs 3 ways. On the bottom of the cup is a sauce made from fried eggs with a touch of spice coming from green Tabasco. There's also a beautiful orangey yolk and a generous scoop of caviar. Standing up in the cup is a brioche soldier, and finally the dish is topped off with a dill-infused olive oil. To put it simply, everything in that cup excited me, and I've been wanting to try that dish since I first heard about it years ago. Thankfully, I was not disappointed. That was a masterpiece. When that first bite hit my palate, I was pretty close to shedding a tear of joy. It was spectacular. The savory richness of all those eggs together, the hint of heat from the Tabasco, and the crunch of the buttery toasted brioche equated to culinary perfection. While I was enjoying that dish, I was also presented with an additional slice of brioche to add to the mix.
Second toast, just in case.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much.
Even the toast just on its own was excellent, but it was certainly nice to have that extra bit to add. To sum it up, that was the best dish that I've had so far in 2026, and it already made my meal at the Modern worth it, but thankfully there's much more of the menu to go. Next up was the bread and butter, which I was particularly excited about. I know that it's just bread, but good bread is a precious thing. Over my past 2 visits to the Modern, I not only enjoyed delicious bread, but interesting bread, as the restaurant is always switching it up. For my current visit, the Modern served a pumpkin seed sourdough with a nice looking dollop of cultured butter. I was easily able to pull apart one of the rolls, and then I applied some of the butter. I knew that bread was going to be good, and I wanted to try it ASAP, so I didn't even bother tearing it into smaller pieces at first, and instead just dove right in. As expected, the bread was excellent. It was warm and fresh, and that butter was otherworldly. It was so smooth I felt like I was slicing through air, and combined with the bread, it added an excellent richness and saltiness. The bread was also pretty flaky and crumbly, which resulted in a constant stream of servers wiping off the crumbs on my table, but a bit of crumb confetti comes with the territory. In summation, I was very pleased with that bread. Next up was what my server labeled as her favorite course.
Shishito pepper relish with grilled baby squid and a medley of green garbanzo beans and confit baby turnip.
On the menu, the dish is stated simply as sea bass and squid, but as I was about to find out, there was a lot more to it than that. It only took me a single bite to realize why my server thought that it was so special. It was fantastic. In fact, that course would prove to be my second favorite of the night, behind only the egg dish. First off, the sea bass was cooked perfectly. It was light and delicate, which made for a great contrast with its crispy and well-seasoned skin. The squid underneath the fish was cooked perfectly as well, but my favorite element of that course was the sauce. It was so vibrant and powerful. With everything tied together, that was a perfect dish. I also heeded my server's advice by utilizing the bread to soak up every last drop of that spectacular sauce. Next up was one hell of a surprise.
White onion, 2-year aged Parmesan in the form of a mousse just on the outside there. And then fresh black truffle,
Wow.
Perigord. Just
Oh, that's incredible.
Bordeaux.
The restaurant generously gave me the supplement black truffle risotto dish for my birthday, which I was incredibly grateful for. That was one impressive present. The aroma coming off the freshly shaved truffles was heavenly. As expected, that was an incredible dish. It was simple, but with great ingredients, every spoonful I took was pure decadence. Although, it felt like there were more truffle shavings than actual grains of rice in that risotto, but I would much rather have it like that than the other way around. Overall, that dish was a luxurious delight, and I was incredibly grateful for it. Next up, I got more bread and butter. When I was asked if I would like more, it was hard to say no. That bread was just too damn good. Plus, oftentimes getting full at these fine dining establishments can be a bit of a challenge, but good bread certainly helps. Soon enough, it was time for the next course. The dish consisted of diverse scallops, foie gras, and kumquat. The inclusion of the foie gras was definitely interesting, and it was a good-looking plate of food which I was very eager to try. Simply put, it was delicious. The scallops were perfectly cooked, but the foie gras sandwiched between them just melted in my mouth. Combined with the vibrant sauce, that was another winning dish. Following the scallops was the meat course. It was an 18-day dry-aged duck with mango and peanuts.
To finish it, a cognac and honey peppercorn sauce.
Ooh, that sounds great. Nice.
I liked the look of that plate. Everything was so neatly laid out, and I absolutely love duck. My first bite was good. The duck meat was fine, but it was that sweet cognac and honey peppercorn sauce that really elevated that meat. Plus, that crispy bit of skin on the duck was an utter delight. The most unique and strangest aspect of that course was a slice of mango topped with peanuts. Now that's something I never would have imagined pairing with duck, but I liked it. The mango wasn't overly sweet, but the nuttiness of the peanuts combined with that magical cognac and honey peppercorn sauce made that a delightful component to enjoy alongside the duck. That was an overall solid dish. Finally, it was time to transition to dessert, with the first offering being a palate cleanser, and it was an interesting one. The dish consisted of celery ice cream with a rosé champagne jelly and Yorkshire rhubarb. Yeah, I was surprised too when I heard celery ice cream, but it worked. The taste of the ice cream interacted with the champagne jelly just so well. The palate cleanser not only did its job, it was interesting and was certainly one of the more notable palate cleansers that I've had lately. After finishing, I was in for another surprise, a birthday cake. I blew out the candle and made a wish, but soon after, I was presented with the official dessert from the tasting menu. The creation consisted of a dark chocolate cremeux with espresso and Meyer lemon, and it looked beautiful. First, however, I turned my attention to the cake. Now, I can't recall exactly what it consisted of, but plain and simple, it was just so good. Suddenly, getting older didn't seem too bad. The treat was nice and soft and filled with some delightful components. I loved it. Then I went back to the official dessert, which was also sadly the final course, but my dinner was ending strong. That creation was incredible. It was creamy, rich, and chocolatey, with a nice refreshing acidity coming from the lemon. Without question, that was a top-tier dessert. After finishing, I was presented with a few final tasty bites, which consisted of flavors like mint chocolate, pineapple, green apple, and chartreuse. Overall, my dinner was excellent, from the food to the atmosphere, service, and hospitality. My server was incredible, but really everyone I interacted with at that restaurant were true professionals that really made it a special evening for me, which I'm very grateful for. After finishing, I was presented with a menu of the courses that I enjoyed that evening, which was even signed by Chef Justin. Beneath the menu was a map of the Modern spectacular kitchen, which I was actually about to tour, but first, however, came the bill. My dinner that evening totaled to $320.10, but with my tip, I spent about $385. For me, it was worth it. To conclude my experience at the Modern, I was very generously provided with a tour of the kitchen and got to meet Chef Justin. I even got to take a picture with the spectacular staff. Overall, I couldn't have been more satisfied with my experience at the Modern.
So that was incredible. Now, I've had a lot of great birthday meals, but I think tonight's was probably the best that I've ever had. The food was exceptional, the service was top tier, and the atmosphere was just perfect. Now, even with some of the best meals that I've had, when I get that bill, and it's usually a very large bill, there's always a bit of a sting that comes with it. But tonight, even though my bill was very costly, I had no problem handing over my credit card. For me, it was worth every penny. Now, it may not be worth it for everyone, but these culinary experiences, eating great, dining at these exceptional restaurants, this is what I live for. Now, I liked everything I had to varying degrees, but I do have my highlights, and that egg dish was, of course, a highlight. That was a bucket list dish, and it lived up to the hype. I figured that I would really like that one. I mean, it's just so much amazingness crammed into a bowl. The other course that I really enjoyed was the sea bass dish. Now, when I saw it on the menu and I saw simply sea bass and squid, I'm thinking to myself, how does that work? But it works, and it works very well. The sauce that it was paired with was just so exceptional. The flavor was just so vibrant. I could have drank a gallon of that sauce. It was amazing. Plus, that was very generous of the restaurant to give me that truffle risotto, and I'm thoroughly grateful for it. Although it was more truffle than risotto, but it was amazing. Overall, I think the Modern is just one of those reliable places for an exceptional meal. Whether it's the bar room or the dining room, they really nail it. I am very glad that I chose the dining room at the Modern for my birthday meal. It was practically perfect. Plus, getting to see the kitchen after my meal, that was just the cherry on top of an all-around fantastic experience. And believe it or not, I'm actually full, which is kind of a rarity for me at these fine dining restaurants. I mean, I'm not stuffed, I could always eat more, but I am satisfied. But having 4 pieces of bread and 2 servings of butter really helped in that regard. To sum it up, my experience tonight at the Modern was exceptional. That is a place that truly deserves their 2 Michelin stars. Without question, I will definitely be returning to the Modern, whether it's the bar room or the dining room, or hopefully one day the kitchen table. That is a special restaurant, and I will certainly be back.